Picture this, a moonlit savanna, where the line between life and death is as thin as a blade of grass. In this wild realm, an extraordinary encounter unfolded that would leave even the most seasoned rangers speechless. At its heart, a starving stray dog and a helpless baby panther, two creatures whose paths should never have crossed. Yet fate had other plans. Our story begins with Daniel Hayes, a 42-year-old American ranger who'd called the Masai Mara Reserve in Kenya home for over a decade. He thought he'd seen it all, until one rain-soaked evening proved him wrong. As Daniel's jeep rumbled across the muddy plains, his headlights caught a ghostly figure. A skeletal dog, ribs jutting sharply, wandered aimlessly through the grass. Strays rarely lasted long here. The savanna had no mercy for outsiders. Yet something about this dog's determined path caught Daniel's eye. Raising his binoculars, Daniel's breath caught in his throat. Just ahead of the stray, huddled in the wet grass, lay a tiny black panther cub. Its fur was plastered to its skin, its cries barely audible above the wind. Clearly separated from its mother, the cub wouldn't survive the night alone. Daniel's mind raced. Starving dog would surely see the cub as competition, or worse, as food. He braced himself for the inevitable. The dog approached cautiously, head low and ears pricked. It paused, staring at the cub with unreadable eyes. For a moment it seemed nature would take its course. The dog turned, padding away into the field. Daniel exhaled, certain instinct had won. Then came a sound that changed everything. A thin, broken cry from the cub. Its legs twitched weakly before falling still. The dog froze mid-stride, its gaze fixed on the fragile creature behind it. Lion's roar rolled across the plains like distant thunder. Every second now was precious. And then, defying every law of survival, the stray dog turned back. Daniel gripped his binoculars tighter, scarcely believing his eyes. The dog crept back to the cub, sniffing it gently. Then, in a move that left Daniel speechless, the stray curled its thin body around the shivering panther, tucking the cub against its chest as if to shield it from the cold. God, Daniel whispered, witnessing something he'd never seen in a decade of observing predators, an act of pure compassion over instinct. As the night grew colder and mist rolled in, the stray trembled from exhaustion and hunger, yet it never left the cub's side. Each time hyenas cackled in the distance, the dog raised its head, eyes glowing with determination in the moonlight. The cub nestled deeper into the warmth of its unlikely guardian, finally drifting into an uneasy sleep. Hours passed, and Daniel sat motionless in his jeep, transfixed by the scene before him. This was beyond explanation, beyond biology. A story the savanna itself seemed to be writing. As dawn broke, painting the horizon in streaks of gold, Daniel's shift ended. Another team of rangers arrived, their vehicle crunching softly over the damp earth. He waved them over urgently. "You need to see this," he said, his voice thick with emotion. Together they peered through the clearing, and a hush fell over the group. The stray lay drenched with dew, eyes half closed from fatigue, yet still curled protectively around the panther cub. One ranger muttered, "I've never seen anything like it." Another raised a camera with trembling hands, capturing the moment for posterity. The cub stirred weakly, blinking up at the dog. Instead of retreating, it pressed its tiny head into the dog's chest, as if cementing the bond between them. The rangers exchanged uneasy glances. This defied everything they knew about nature. And yet the evidence was right before their eyes. Suddenly a sound froze their blood. A low, resonant growl from the tall grass. From the shadows emerged a sleek, black figure, the mother panther. Her golden eyes blazed in the early light, fixed on the sight of her cub nestled against another species. Her muscles rippled with each step, claws slicing faintly at the earth. Daniel whispered, "She'll kill it." No mother predator would tolerate such interference, least of all from a dog. The panther halted, studying the scene. The rangers held their breath. Then, to their astonishment, she lowered her head. Not in fury, but in something else. Recognition. She stepped forward, sniffing her cub, nudging it gently until it crawled into her embrace. Her rumbling purr filled the air as she reclaimed her young. And then came the moment that made Daniel's knees weak. The mother panther leaned toward the stray dog. Instead of striking, she touched her nose softly against its head. It was a gesture of acknowledgement, perhaps even gratitude. The stray's tail wagged faintly. It remained still, eyes wide, but unharmed. The rangers stood in stunned silence. In all their years, they had never witnessed such a thing. A predator acknowledging another creature for protecting its young. Daniel snapped photo after photo, his hands shaking. He knew no one would believe this story without proof. The mother panther, cub now secure at her side, turned and slipped back into the tall grass. The stray dog remained alone in the clearing, tail swaying gently as if relieved. The men exhaled collectively, some with tears in their eyes. What they had just witnessed was not simply survival. It was compassion that defied instinct. For days afterward, Daniel replayed the scene in his mind. In a place where nature was often cruel and merciless, he had seen something that felt like a miracle. A nameless stray, broken and starving, had chosen to guard a predator's cub through the darkest night. And the mother panther, instead of destroying it, had answered with respect. Daniel told the story to colleagues, visitors, and even schoolchildren. Some wept, some shook their heads in disbelief, yet all agreed. It was a reminder that compassion exists everywhere, even in the wildest corners of the earth. The image never left him. A trembling dog in the mist, his paws wrapped protectively around a fragile cub, two hearts beating in unison against the odds of the savannah. If you think this story was extraordinary, Daniel often added, wait until you hear about the time a dog braved a flood to save a tiger cub, only to face a python on the way back. That, too, made the world weep. But for him, the memory of that moonlit night would always remain the clearest. The night the wild bent its rules. And a stray dog reminded everyone that love knows no boundaries.